I had 45 seconds. Before the wine was poured, the dessert menus were placed, and the chandelier above table 3 rained crystal and blood across white linen. My hand trembled just enough to blur the ballpoint letters as I folded the receipt into a tight square. The paper felt fragile, like it might disintegrate in my sweating palm before it ever reached him. Around me, luminaire, hummed with the low frequency of power. Silver against bone china, controlled laughter, the rustle of Hermes scarves against Italian wool. Outside, the city's rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the financial district. But inside, the air was warm, too warm, suffocating. I approached table 3 like I was walking toward a firing squad. Gennaro Padovano sat with his back to the panoramic window, the city's glittering skyline framing him like a throne of lights. He looked like he'd been carved from stone in expensive rage. Sharp cheekbones, dark hair swept back with precision, a midnight blue Brioni suit that cost more than everything I owned combined. His hands rested on the table, one loosely holding a wine glass, the other drumming a slow, lethal rhythm against the tablecloth. Beside him, Kim Lopez leaned in close, her fingertips grazing his wrist as she whispered something that made her crimson lips curve into a smile. Her emerald earrings caught the amber glow of the candles, scattering fractured light across the table like shattered glass. She looked like a woman in love. She wasn't. 30 minutes ago. I heard her order his execution. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps these stories alive, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The wine cellar at Luminaire wasn't really a cellar. It was a temperature-controlled vault tucked beneath the main dining room. Glass walls, soft recessed lighting that made the bottles glow like jewels in a museum. I'd been sent down to retrieve a 2009 Barolo for table 6, threading my way past rows of Burgundy and Bordeaux when I heard voices. Female, sharp, speaking Russian. I froze between the Chiantis and the Barolos, my fingers still wrapped around the neck of the bottle I'd been reaching for. Stoltry, Vozli okna. My Russian was non-existent. Just scattered words I'd picked up from old films and overheard conversations in the break room, but I caught fragments. Table 3. The window. Da, Eugenia Pazizzi. My pulse spiked, already in position. She continued, her voice dropping into something colder, faster, like she was threading wire through each syllable. Then she switched, Italian this time. Smoother, but no less deadly. Uno al bar, tre vicino alla cucina. 1 at the bar, 3 near the kitchen. The bottle in my hand suddenly felt impossibly heavy. Avrai un colpo pulito appena si sistema. My breath caught. The air in the wine cellar, climate controlled to exactly 55 degrees, suddenly felt arctic. You'll have a clean shot as soon as he settles. Heels clicked against the stone floor, moving toward the stairs. I pressed myself flat against the wine rack, praying the shadows and $1,000 vintages would hide me. Through the gaps between bottles, I caught a glimpse of her, tall, elegant, wearing a champagne silk dress that shimmered like liquid gold. Dark hair swept into a chignon, emerald earrings catching the light. Kim Lopez. The woman currently sitting at table 3, playing the role of devoted fiancée to the man she'd just arranged to have murdered. She disappeared up the stairs, her perfume lingering, something expensive and floral that now smelled like a funeral wreath. I stood there for 10 seconds, 15, 20, waiting for my legs to remember how to work. When I finally climbed back up to the main floor, Barolo forgotten, my brain was racing through what I'd heard. Table 3, by the window. 1 at the bar, 3 near the kitchen. Clean shot. I stepped back onto the restaurant floor and everything clicked into focus with horrifying clarity. Table 3. Corner booth. Gennaro Padovano and Kim Lopez, the city's most scrutinized power couple. He was Russian Mafia. Everyone knew it, even if no one said it out loud. She was the daughter of a Sao Paulo cartel lieutenant. Their engagement had been whispered about for months, a merger disguised as a romance, or maybe just a murder disguised as both. I scanned the restaurant with new eyes, my serving tray pressed against my chest like a shield. One man at the bar, mid-30s, charcoal suit, nursing a vodka he hadn't touched in 20 minutes. He wasn't watching the muted news broadcast on the screen. He was watching seats. Table 3. 3 men near the kitchen entrance. They'd been loitering there for 15 minutes, menus open, but never ordering. 2 had their backs to the wall. The third kept his hand inside his jacket. My heart kicked against my ribs so hard I thought it might crack bone. I looked back at table 3, at Gennaro Padovano, smiling faintly at something Kim said, completely unaware that the woman touching his arm had just orchestrated his death. That in less than an hour, when the dessert course arrived and the lights dimmed for the flambe presentation, 4 men were going to put bullets in him. I could walk away, clock out early, say I was sick, let whatever was about to happen just happen. Men like Gennaro Padovano didn't end up in my world by accident. He'd earned enemies. Maybe he deserved this. But then I thought about my little brother, 12 years old, laughing in the back seat, gone in an instant because a drunk driver ran a red light and no one stopped him when they should have. I thought about every moment I'd replayed, every what if that haunted me. Every time I wished someone had done something. I thought, I can't just let someone die. So I grabbed a receipt from my apron, clicked my pen, and wrote 7 words that would either save his life or end mine. My reflection in the polished wine glasses looked ghost pale as I made my way to table 3. Each step felt like walking through deep water, time stretching and contracting. I was hyper-aware of everything, the scratch of polyester against my skin, the squeak of my shoes on marble, the way Kim's laugh sounded like breaking glass. "You're McAllen, sir." My voice came out steady, professional, like I hadn't just overheard a murder plot, like my hands weren't shaking. I set the crystal tumbler down on the white tablecloth, neat, precise. The whiskey caught the candlelight, glowing amber, and then I did the thing every server is trained never to do. I touched him. My thumb pressed lightly against the back of his hand as I slid the folded receipt beneath his glass. The contact lasted maybe half a second, a violation of every rule, every boundary between his world and mine. Gennaro Padovano's eyes snapped to mine. They were ice blue. Not cold, but calculating. The kind of eyes that saw through skin and bone straight into intention. His gaze held mine for a beat too long, and I felt something shift in my chest. Not attraction. Recognition. Like looking into the eyes of a wolf that could either let you pass or tear you apart. "Read it," I mouthed. "Please." His fingers curled around the receipt, palm covering it completely. "Is there a problem with the service, darling?" Kim's voice cut through the moment, sweet and poisonous. Gennaro's expression didn't change. He lifted his glass, took a slow sip of whiskey, and with his other hand, unfolded the note beneath the table where Kim couldn't see. I stood there, tray clutched to my chest, watching his face for any reaction. Nothing. Not a flicker. Not a flinch. Just those ice blue eyes scanning the 7 words. "Your fiancé sold you out. They're in position." Then his jaw tightened, imperceptible unless you were looking for it. The smallest tell, he knew. Gennaro set his glass down with a soft clink that somehow cut through the ambient noise of the restaurant. When he spoke, his voice was smooth, controlled, the kind of calm that preceded violence. "I'd like to propose a toast." Kim blinked, her smile flickering. Now? We haven't even ordered dessert yet. Now. He gestured to me without looking away from her. Another glass. For my fiancé. The same. I hesitated, looking between them. Kim's perfectly composed face showed the first crack, a tightness around her eyes, a stiffness in her posture. I already have wine, meu amor, she said, voice light but strained. Then you'll have whiskey too. It wasn't a request. I walked back to the bar on autopilot, poured the second Macallan with trembling hands, and returned to table 3. Gennaro took the glass from me without a word. His fingers brushed mine, deliberate this time. He raised both glasses. To loyalty, he said, his gaze locked on Kim. And to those who know the difference between love and betrayal. Kim's smile froze, and in the reflection of the window behind them, I saw the man at the bar reach into his jacket. The lights went out. The world went black, not gradual, instant, like someone had severed every power line feeding luminaire in a single stroke. The chandeliers died. The ambient glow from the kitchen vanished. Even the city lights beyond the windows seemed swallowed whole. For one suspended heartbeat, there was only silence. Then the screaming started. Gunfire cracked through the air, sharp, percussive, deafening. Muzzle flashes lit the dining room in strobe light bursts. I saw fragments, overturned chairs, shattered wine glasses, a woman in pearls diving under a table, a hand clamped around my wrist, iron hard, unforgiving. Gennaro. Move! He yanked me down just as bullets shredded the air where my head had been. The window behind table 3 exploded in a shower of glass. Cold rain and wind howled into the restaurant. Someone screamed. Someone else gurgled, wet, choking. Gennaro dragged me across the floor, moving fast and low. My knees slammed against marble. My tray clattered away into darkness. I couldn't see anything except the flashes. Couldn't hear anything except gunfire and my own ragged breathing. Stay close, he growled, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. You stop. You die. He hauled me through the swinging double doors into the kitchen. Emergency lights flickered on, dim, red-tinged. The kitchen staff had already scattered. Pots boiled over on abandoned burners. A rack of lamb smoked on the grill. Forgotten. Behind us, footsteps pounded. Shouts in Russian. Commands. Coordinates. Gennaro moved like a predator through familiar terrain. He shoved me past the walk-in freezer, past the prep stations, toward the back corridor that led to the service exit. His other hand had materialized a gun. Matte, black, compact, lethal. How many? He barked into a phone I hadn't seen him pull. A voice crackled back, fast, clipped Russian. Gennaro's jaw tightened. He ended the call and kicked open the service door. The alley was narrow, rain-slicked, reeking of garbage and exhaust. A black SUV idled 20 feet away, engine running, headlights off. Run! I ran. My shoes slipped on wet concrete. Rain soaked through my uniform in seconds. Behind us, the service door slammed open again. Shouting. Footsteps. A gunshot cracked. Brick exploded inches from my head. Gennaro spun, fired 3 times without breaking stride. Someone screamed. Someone fell. He reached the SUV first, wrenched the rear door open, and shoved me inside so hard I sprawled across the leather seats. He dove in after me, slamming the door. Go! The driver didn't hesitate. Tires shrieked. The SUV lurched forward, throwing me against the seat. Bullets punched into the reinforced panels, sharp metallic thunks that made my teeth rattle but didn't penetrate. I pressed myself flat, gasping, shaking. My uniform was soaked. My hands were bleeding, scratched raw from the kitchen floor. My ears rang from the gunfire. Gennaro sat up, calm as death, and checked his gun. His suit was torn at the shoulder. Blood streaked his collar. Not his, I realized. Someone else's. He looked at me then, really looked, those ice blue eyes cutting through the darkness of the speeding vehicle. You just saved my life, he said, voice low and cold, which means now you belong to me. I opened my mouth to argue. He leaned forward, close enough that I could smell gunpowder and expensive cologne. 4 men just died trying to kill me, Waitress. Kim knows you warned me. She knows your face. His smile was a knife's edge. You think you're going home tonight? You think you're going anywhere without me? The SUV turned hard, throwing me against the door. Outside, the city blurred past in streaks of rain and neon. Inside, Gennaro Padovano watched me like I was a puzzle he intended to solve, or a loose end he was deciding whether to cut. What's your name? My voice came out barely a whisper. Anne Leday. He nodded once, slow and deliberate. Well, Anne Leday. He settled back against the seat, gun resting casually on his thigh. Welcome to your new life. The SUV pulled into an underground garage 40 minutes later. I'd tried tracking our route, left turn, highway, industrial district, but gave up after the 5th direction change. Gennaro wanted me disoriented. It was working. The garage was pristine, too pristine, concrete floors polished to a mirror shine, no oil stains, no clutter. Just 3 other vehicles, all black, all expensive, all armored. Gennaro stepped out first, scanning the space with predatory focus. Then he motioned to me, out. My legs barely held me. The adrenaline was draining, replaced by bone-deep exhaustion and the creeping realization of what I'd done. I'd inserted myself into a Mafia war disease. I'd touched Gennaro Padovano. I'd made myself visible. Stupid. So incredibly stupid. He led me to an elevator with no buttons, just a biometric scanner. He pressed his palm against it. The doors slid open with a whisper. We rode up in silence. I watched the floor numbers climb, 3, 4, 5, then stop at 6. The doors opened onto a penthouse that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture in black leather and chrome, art on the walls that probably cost more than my entire life. Sit. He pointed to a chair in the center of the living room, isolated, exposed, like an interrogation seat. I sat. Gennaro shrugged off his ruined jacket, tossed it over a bar stool, and rolled up his shirt sleeves. Even disheveled, he looked dangerous, controlled. Like violence in a bespoke package. He pulled a chair across from me, turned it backward, and straddled it, arms folded over the backrest, eyes locked on mine. Talk. About what? Everything. His voice was soft, too soft. Your full name, where you live, who you live with, how long you've worked at Luminaire, why you helped me. I already told you your name. His eyes narrowed. Not why you decided to play hero. I swallowed. My throat felt like sandpaper. Anne-Marie Leday, 26. I live alone in a studio in Brookside. I've worked at Luminaire for 18 months. I hesitated. I helped you because I heard Kim order your death, and I couldn't just let it happen. Why not? Because I'm not a killer. No, he leaned forward. You're worse. You're a witness. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Gennaro stood, circled behind me, slowly. I felt his presence like electricity against my spine, close enough to touch but not touching. Phone, wallet, keys, everything in your pockets, on the table, now. My hands shook as I emptied my apron pockets. Phone, cracked screen, 3 years old. Wallet, $12, and an expired gym membership. Keys to an apartment I might never see again. He picked up my phone, turned it over in his hands. Passcode. I'm not... He crushed it, just closed his fist around it until the screen spiderwebbed and the casing cracked. Then he dropped the pieces on the table like trash. You don't have privacy anymore, Anne. You don't have autonomy. You exist because I allow it. He came back around, crouched in front of me so we were eye level. Kim knows your face. which means her people are already searching for you. Your apartment, your friends, your family, anyone you've ever smiled at is now a potential target. My breath hitched. I don't have a family. Something flickered in his eyes. Not sympathy, calculation. Good. That makes this easier. He stood, walked to the bar, poured 2 fingers of vodka into a crystal tumbler. He didn't offer me one. You'll stay here. You don't leave. You don't call anyone. You don't exist outside these walls until I decide what to do with you. I'm not your prisoner. He turned, smile sharp as broken glass. No, Solnishko. You're my liability. There's a difference. The Russian endearment sounded like a threat. I stood, too fast, too defensive. I saved your life, and now I'm saving yours. He closed the distance between us in 3 strides. Or would you prefer I drop you back in Brookside and let Kim's people find you first? We stood inches apart. His height, his presence, the cold fury radiating off him. It should have terrified me. It did. But something else hummed beneath the fear, something I didn't want to name. Why haven't you killed me? I whispered. His eyes searched mine, ice meeting fire. I haven't decided yet. Then he walked away, leaving me standing alone in a fortress that felt more like a cage. I didn't sleep, how could I? Every creak of the penthouse settling made me flinch. Every distant siren made my pulse spike. I sat on the leather couch in the living room, still wearing my damp uniform, watching the city lights blur through floor-to-ceiling windows. Around 3 a.m., Gennaro emerged from wherever he'd disappeared to. He'd changed. Black t-shirt, dark jeans, barefoot. More human. Almost. He didn't acknowledge me. Just walked to the bar, poured vodka, and stared out at the skyline. She was supposed to be different, he said finally. I blinked. What? Kim. He took a long drink. That's what you want to know, isn't it? Why I didn't see it coming. I stayed silent. Let him talk. We met 2 years ago, Sao Paulo. Her father ran logistics for the Mendoza cartel, weapons, routes, connections my organization needed. His jaw tightened. She was beautiful, educated, spoke 5 languages, negotiated like she'd been doing it her whole life. You fell in love. I fell for the idea of an alliance. He turned, ice blue eyes flat. Love is a weakness in my world, Anne. I wanted a partner, someone who understood the game. Kim understood it perfectly. So what changed? His smile was bitter. She got greedy. My second in command, Victor, started feeding her information, shipment routes, financial accounts, names of loyalists. She was building her own network inside mine, planning to take over after I die. The words landed like stones. Victor betrayed you? Victor wants my seat. Kim promised it to him. Gennaro set his glass down with controlled violence. She was never going to marry me. The engagement was a distraction. Keep me focused on wedding plans while she dismantled everything I built. How many others? I asked quietly. He looked at me, really looked, like he was deciding whether I could handle the truth, so. At least 4 inside my inner circle, maybe more. His voice went cold. I don't know who I can trust anymore, which is why you're still breathing, by the way. Because I'm nobody. Because you're outside. He moved closer, that predatory focus sharpening. You have no agenda, no connections to my world, no reason to betray me for money or power. He paused. You helped me because of some misguided moral code. That makes you either very stupid or very dangerous. Which one do you think I am? Both. The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. Almost. I stood, crossed to the window, put space between us before the air got too thin to breathe. So what now? You hide here while Kim consolidates power? I regroup, identify the traitors, remove them. His tone was clinical, final. Then I remove her. And me? Silence stretched. That depends on you. I turned. He was watching me with that calculating intensity, measuring, weighing, deciding. You have two options, Anne. I can relocate you. New city, new identity, enough money to start over. You walk away clean. Or you stay. His eyes never left mine. You help me identify who else is compromised. You're invisible, just a waitress who happened to be in the wrong place. No one suspects you. No one's watching you. That makes you valuable. You want me to spy for you. I want you to survive. He closed the distance between us slowly. Kim will hunt you regardless. If you run alone. If you stay, you have me. It should have sounded like a threat. It sounded like a promise. I thought about my studio apartment, my routine, my small, invisible life. Then I thought about Kim's cold efficiency, ordering murder, about Victor's betrayal, about Gennaro standing alone against enemies he couldn't see, about 4 men who died tonight because I'd written 7 words on a receipt. I was already in this. Running wouldn't change that. What do you need me to do? Something shifted in Gennaro's expression. Surprise, maybe, or respect. First, you eat, sleep, recover. He stepped back, giving me space I hadn't realized I needed. Tomorrow, I teach you how to stay alive in my world. And after that? His smile was sharp, dangerous. After that, Solnishko. We make Kim Lopez regret the day she underestimated both of us. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt something darker, sharper, purpose. Okay, I whispered. Gennaro extended his hand, formal, binding. I took it. His grip was iron and heat, and when our eyes met, I saw the exact moment everything changed. I wasn't his prisoner anymore. I was his weapon. The explosion came at dawn, not loud, a muffled thump that rattled the windows and sent my heart into my throat. I jolted awake on the guest room bed, still half-dressed, disoriented. Gennaro appeared in the doorway instantly, gun drawn, eyes wild. Get up, now. I stumbled after him into the living room. Smoke was seeping under the front door, acrid, chemical. The penthouse alarm shrieked. They found us! His voice was ice over fury. How the fuck did they find us? Before I could answer, the door exploded inward. Gennaro fired 3 shots. Someone screamed. He grabbed my arm, hauled me toward the back hallway, toward another exit I hadn't known existed. Move! We ran. Behind us, boots pounded, shouts in Russian, more gunfire. Gennaro kicked open a maintenance door, shoved me inside a service stairwell. We descended fast, 2 steps at a time, my legs burning, my lungs screaming. 3 floors down, he slammed me against the concrete wall. Hard. His forearm pressed against my throat. His gun pressed against my ribs. How? The word was a snarl. No one knew about this location. Not Victor. Not my own men. Only you. I didn't. You led them here. His eyes were blue fire, searching mine for lies. You played me. Kim got to you first, didn't she? Offer you money. Threatened you? Gennaro, I swear, don't. The pressure on my throat increased. Don't insult me with denials. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The man who'd called me his weapon was seconds from pulling the trigger. Check me, I choked out. Check my clothes, my body, everything. His eyes narrowed. If I'm working for Kim, I'd have a phone, a wire, something. Tears stung my eyes. Fear, desperation, fury. Search me, Gennaro. Prove it. For 3 heartbeats, he didn't move. Then he released my throat, stepped back, gun still trained on me. Strip. Now. My hand shook as I pulled off my uniform shirt, then my undershirt, my shoes, my pants, until I stood in the cold stairwell in nothing but my bra and underwear, shivering, exposed, humiliated. Gennaro searched every piece of clothing methodically, checked seams, pockets, linings, nothing. His jaw tightened. "Turn around." I did, slowly. He stepped closer, examining me like evidence. His fingers brushed my shoulder, clinical, detached. Then my wrist. Then he stopped. "What is this?" I looked down. The thin leather bracelet I'd been wearing for 2 days, the one I'd found on the break room table at Luminaire. Someone had left it behind. I'd meant to turn it in to Lost and Found, but forgot. Gennaro grabbed my wrist, snapped the bracelet off, then he crushed it between his fingers. A tiny metallic chip fell out, no bigger than a grain of rice, a tracker. The color drained from Gennaro's face. "Suka." The Russian curse was barely a whisper. "I didn't know," I breathed. "I swear to God, I didn't know." He stared at the chip in his palm, then at me, really seeing me, seeing the truth. "Kim planted it." His voice was hollow. "She knew you'd take something. A tip. A forgotten item. Something small and meaningless." He closed his fist around the tracker. "She used you. Made you the perfect Trojan horse." Relief and rage flooded through me in equal measure. "I told you I didn't betray you." "I know." He looked at me then, truly looked, and something cracked in his expression. Guilt? Regret. "Get dressed." I grabbed my clothes with shaking hands, pulled them on while he made calls in rapid Russian. His voice was sharp, commanding, lethal. When I was dressed, he turned back to me. "They're 5 minutes out, maybe less." He grabbed my hand, laced his fingers through mine, not gently, but firmly, anchoring. "Stay close. Do exactly what I say, understand?" I nodded. "Anne." He squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry." I didn't have time to process it. Boots thundered above us. Gennaro pulled me down the stairs, into the parking garage, toward a motorcycle I hadn't noticed before. He threw me a helmet. "Hold on tight. Don't let go." I climbed on behind him, wrapped my arms around his waist. The engine roared to life, and we disappeared into the city just as the first gunman burst through the stairwell door, bullets sparking off concrete where we'd been seconds before. The second safe house was smaller, darker. A converted warehouse in the industrial district, all exposed brick, steel beams, and reinforced doors. No windows. One exit, one entrance, a cage designed for survival. Gennaro swept the space methodically, checking locks, testing security feeds, securing perimeters. I stood in the center of the main room, still shaking from the motorcycle ride, from the breach, from everything. "You'll sleep there." He pointed to a loft bedroom overlooking the main floor. "I'll be down here. Don't leave without telling me." "Don't answer the door. Don't trust anyone but me." "For how long?" He looked at me, jaw tight. "Until Kim is dead." The next morning, he woke me at dawn. "Get up. We're starting your education." I climbed down the steel ladder to find him waiting. Barefoot, wearing only black workout pants, his torso a landscape of old scars and lean muscle. He tossed me a knife. I caught it clumsily. "Lesson 1, he said. "You need to know how to defend yourself. If they corner you again, I might not be there. I'm not a fighter. You will be." For 2 hours, he drilled me. How to hold a blade, where to strike, how to move when someone grabs you. His hands on my wrists, repositioning. His body against mine, demonstrating pressure points. Every touch was clinical. Every touch burned. "Again," he said when I fumbled. "Faster." I tried. Failed. Tried again. "Faster, Anne." Something in me snapped. I lunged. He blocked effortlessly, twisted my arm, and pinned me face first against the brick wall. his chest against my back, his breath hot against my ear. "Better," he murmured. That was anger. Use it. My pulse was hammered, not from fear. He released me slowly. The days blurred together. He taught me to shoot, steadying my hands, correcting my stance, his fingers adjusting my grip on cold metal. Taught me Russian phrases, Mafia hierarchies, how to read body language, how to lie convincingly. "You're a quick study," he said one night, reviewing security footage of Kim's known associates. "Most people take weeks to learn what you've absorbed in days." Most people aren't running for their lives. He smiled, rare, genuine. No, they're not. I found myself watching him when he wasn't looking, the way he moved, efficient, predatory. The way he thought, 3 steps ahead, always calculating. The way his eyes softened fractionally when he looked at me, like he was surprised I was still alive, still here, still his. "Why do you call me that?" I asked one evening. "Solnishko." He paused, vodka glass halfway to his lips. "It means little sun." His gaze held mine. Something bright in a very dark world. The air between us thickened. It happened on the 8th night. I was cleaning a handgun he'd disassembled for me, learning the mechanics, the ritual. He sat across the table, watching with that intense focus that made my skin feel too tight. "You've changed," he said quietly. "How?" "You don't flinch anymore when I enter a room. You don't look at me like I'm a monster." "Are you?" "Yes." The honesty landed like a confession. I set the gun down, met his eyes. "Then maybe I've become a monster too." Something dangerous flickered across his face. He stood, crossed to me in 3 strides, pulled me up by the wrist, not rough, but firm, inevitable. "Anne." My name was a warning, a question. I didn't step back. His free hand cupped my jaw, thumb brushing my cheekbone. His eyes searched mine, looking for hesitation, for fear. He found neither. "This is a mistake," he whispered. "Probably." His mouth crashed against mine. The kiss was nothing like I'd imagined. Not gentle, not careful. It was hunger and desperation and 8 days of proximity, too close to ignore. His hands tangled in my hair, my fingers dug into his shoulders. He tasted like vodka and violence and something darker I didn't have a name for. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "This complicates everything," he said, forehead against mine. "I know. I can't protect you if I'm distracted." "Then don't get distracted." His laugh was low, dangerous. "Too late, Solnishko." He kissed me again, slower this time, deeper, like he was memorizing the shape of my mouth, the sound of my breath. When we finally broke apart, his eyes were molten. "We finish what we started with Kim," he said, voice rough. "Then we figure out what the hell this is." I nodded. Because I knew the truth. We'd already figured it out. We just weren't ready to say it aloud. "They're expecting an exchange," Gennaro said, studying the blueprints spread across the table. "Weapons for information. Victor thinks I'm desperate enough to negotiate." "Are you?" His smile was razor sharp. "I'm desperate enough to kill every last one of them." The plan was elegant in its brutality. Victor had arranged a meeting at an abandoned textile factory on the waterfront. Neutral ground, he'd claimed. A chance to broker peace before the war consumed them all. It was a trap. Gennaro knew it. Victor knew he knew it, which made it the perfect place for a counter-trap. "You'll be my fail-safe," Gennaro said, turning to me. "Hidden on the catwalk. If things go wrong, you signal my men outside. If they go very wrong..." He handed me a detonator. "You blow the south wall charges and run." I stared at the device in my palm. Cold, heavy, final. "I won't leave you." "Yes, you will." His hand covered mine, closing my fingers around the detonator. "That's an order, Solnishko." I wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped me. This wasn't just a strategy. This was him trying to save me one last time. "Okay," I whispered. He kissed my forehead, brief, achingly tender. "Stay alive, Anne, that's all I ask." The factory was a graveyard of rusted machinery and shattered windows. Moonlight cut through holes in the roof, illuminating dust motes like ghosts. I crouched on the catwalk above, invisible in the shadows, watching Gennaro enter the main floor alone. His hands were empty, his posture relaxed. He looked unarmed. He wasn't. Victor emerged from the far entrance with 12 men, armed, armored, confident. Kim stood beside him, elegant, even in tactical black, her smile victorious. "Gennaro," Victor's voice echoed. "I'm glad you saw reason." "Reason?" Gennaro laughed. "Cold, dangerous. I see betrayal. I see cowardice. I see two dead people who don't know it yet." Kim's smile faltered. "You're outnumbered, mio amor." "Am I?" Gennaro raised his hand. The factory exploded with light and gunfire. Gennaro's men poured in from every entrance. 20, 30, more. They'd been hidden in the machinery, behind walls, beneath tarps. Victor's soldiers scattered, but there was nowhere to run. The firefight was chaotic, deafening, brutal. I gripped the detonator, heart slamming, watching Gennaro move through the violence like death incarnate. Fluid, precise, unstoppable. Victor fell first. 3 bullets, center mass. Kim ran. Gennaro pursued. She made it to the south exit before he caught her, slammed her against a steel pillar, gun pressed under her jaw. "Give me one reason," he snarled. "You loved me once," Kim gasped. "I loved an illusion." His finger tightened on the trigger. "You were never real." "Gennaro, please." The gunshot echoed once, then silence. Kim crumpled. Gennaro stood over her, expression empty, and for a moment I thought I saw something crack in him, not regret, but the weight of finality. Then his eyes found mine on the catwalk, still alive, still watching. He nodded once. "It's over." We left the factory as dawn broke. 14 of Victor's men dead, 5 captured, Kim and Victor eliminated. Gennaro's organization was bleeding, but intact, and Kim's network had been dismantled in a single night. Back at the safe house, Gennaro poured 2 vodkas, handed me one. "To survive," he said. We drank in silence. Then he pulled me against him, not with desire, but something deeper. Exhaustion, relief, connection forged in blood and fire. "You didn't run," he murmured into my hair. "I told you I wouldn't." Most people would have. I'm not most people anymore. He pulled back, studied my face like he was memorizing it. "No, you're not." Later, he spread new intelligence across the table. Photographs, documents, intercepts. "Kim had a silent partner," he said. "Someone who funded the coup. Someone who wanted me dead badly enough to bankroll her entire operation." "Who?" His jaw tightened. "Dmitry Kozlov, head of the Bratva in Moscow, my father's oldest rival." The room seemed to tilt. He orchestrated all of this? Kim was just the weapon. Dmitry pulled the trigger. Gennaro's eyes burned cold. "He's hosting a gala in 3 days. Every major player in the Russian underworld will attend. It's a consolidation. He's trying to claim my territory now that he thinks I'm weak." "What are we going to do?" He looked at me, and I saw the shift. Not you, not I. We. "We're going to that gala," he said, "and we're going to remind Dmitry Kozlov exactly who he's dealing with." His hand found mine across the table. "One more fight, Solnishko. One final move." I squeezed back. "Then let's finish it." The Kozlov estate was a fortress disguised as a palace. Marble columns, crystal chandeliers, armed men in tuxedos pretending to be waiters. Every major player in the Russian underworld filled the ballroom, champagne in hand, blood on their ledgers. I walked in on Gennaro's arm wearing a black gown that cost more than my former life. My hair was swept up. Diamonds borrowed from his vault glittered at my throat, and a ceramic blade was strapped to my thigh. "Smile," Gennaro murmured. "We're in love, remember?" I looked up at him. The sharp lines of his face, the controlled danger in his posture, the way his hand rested possessively on my waist. "I'm not sure we're pretending anymore," I whispered. His grip tightened fractionally. "After tonight, we won't have to." Dimitri held court at the center of the ballroom. 60s, silver-haired, radiating authority. He saw Gennaro approach, and his smile widened, wolfish. "Gennaro Padovano, I heard you were dead." Rumor and reality rarely align, Dimitri. They clasped hands, a civilized gesture between predators. "And who is this?" Dimitri's eyes raked over me. "Not the unfortunate Kim, I hope." "Anne Leday," Gennaro said smoothly. "My fiancée." The word sent electricity down my spine. Dimitri's eyebrows rose. "Moving on quickly, I see." "Life is short in our world." Gennaro's tone was pleasant, lethal. "As you've recently proven." The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Dimitri's smile thinned. "I don't know what you're implying." "Don't you?" Gennaro gestured to the assembled crowd. "You funded Kim's coup, promised Victor my territory, orchestrated my assassination so you could claim my operations while I was still warm." Conversations around us stopped. Heads turned. Dimitri's men reached for weapons. Gennaro didn't flinch. "The difference between you and me, Dimitri, is that I learn from my enemies." He pulled a phone from his pocket, held it up. "Anne, darling, would you do the honors?" My hands didn't shake as I pressed play. Dimitri's voice filled the ballroom through hidden speakers. Recordings Anne had helped Gennaro obtain from captured loyalists. Conversations detailing the conspiracy, bank transfers, orders to kill, proof of every betrayal. "Do you think this changes anything?" Dimitri snarled. "You're one man in a room full of mine." "No," Gennaro said quietly. "I'm one man who just played your entire network a recording of you calling them expendable pawns." The ballroom erupted. Dimitri's allies turned on him, some in rage, some seizing opportunity. Guns appeared. Shouting escalated. Dimitri's own lieutenants backed away, realizing they'd been used. "You destroyed me," Dimitri hissed. "You destroyed yourself." Gennaro's gun appeared, smooth, practiced. "I just made sure everyone watched." The gunshot was deafening. Dimitri fell. Chaos consumed the ballroom. Some fled, some fought, some knelt in surrender. Gennaro's men, planted among the guests, secured exits and detained the accomplice. Gennaro turned to the assembled crowd, voice carrying over the pandemonium. "Dmitri Kozlov is dead. Victor is dead. Kim Lopez is dead. Anyone who supported their coup has a choice. Pledge loyalty to me or join them." Silence fell. One by one, men knelt. The empire was his again. We left the estate as sirens wailed in the distance, police paid to arrive late, to clean up quietly, to ask no questions. In the car, Gennaro pulled me against him, his forehead resting against mine. "It's over," he breathed. "Is it?" "The war is." His thumb traced my jaw. "But this, us, it's just beginning." "I killed people tonight, Gennaro. I stood beside you while you executed a man," I sang. "I'm not innocent?" He smiled, sad and knowing. "Neither am I. But you're mine, Anne, and I'm yours. That's the only truth that matters now." He kissed me, slow, deep, claiming. When we broke apart, I saw my future in his eyes. Not the quiet life I'd imagined, not safety or simplicity, but something fierce, something worth the blood it cost. "What now?" I whispered. "Now, Solnishko," he said, pulling me closer as the city lights blurred past. "You help me rebuild, and I spend the rest of my life making sure no one ever threatens you again." I leaned into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. Deal. Outside, the world continued, violent, unforgiving, endless. But inside Gennaro's arms, I'd found something I never expected in the darkness: home.